Hello!
All right. Hey, everybody. It's Douglas.
Allie!
And Allie. This feels like it's been a long time since we've done sort of a video formatted like this. We've caught up on some movies that are out in theaters. So sorry that these are going to be a little bit, like, a few weeks old. You know, that's just life, man. So today we're going to be talking about The Greatest Showman. So, Allie, what'd you think of The Greatest Showman?
It may have not been the greatest show I've ever seen in my life, but it was a pretty darn good one. I remember thinking, oh, how good could this movie be? I mean, it's already a great premise with a circus, musical, you have a great cast. But then I tend to be let down when I have my hopes up when it comes to films. But the moment you see Hugh Jackman on the screen, it is theater brought to the cinema. Right. And I enjoyed it a lot. I love the music. Ever since we finished watching the movie, I went home directly to listen to the original soundtrack, and I've been listening to it non-stop. I originally went to only listen to one of the solos, Never Enough, and just wound up listening to the whole soundtrack. Oh, I love it so much. It's so good. And Zendaya. That woman. She's incredible. She can do anything. I remember seeing her in Disney Channel a lot. What was it called? Shake It Up? Mm-hmm. She was just a kid, and now look where she is. Amazing.
I just kind of know her from Spider-Man. That's all I know.
I haven't seen Spider-Man. I want to thank whoever convinced Zac Efron to do musicals again, because it made the inner 12-year-old in me very happy. That still sounds very weird.
No, I get it. Zac Efron's got those dreamy eyes.
Beautiful.
He's got big eyelashes. I was like, Zach.
Those blue eyes,
can you
man.
turn the dial down a little bit? Because he took a big break from musicals for a while. I think it was after Hairspray.
Yeah.
He was like offered a part in the Footloose remake that nobody watched. Turned it down because he didn't want to get typecasted. And he worked really hard to kind of like break away from that. And even doing this musical, it seems like it's not a bad career choice because it's very different than like Hairspray and Footloose and those kind of musicals. It's got a different feel. Because it's also a period piece and kind of more stylistic. Is this one an adaptation of anything?
No, it's not a biopic, but it's loosely based on the first ring man, P.T. Barnum, who essentially invented the circus. See, the real life P.T. Barnum was not a good man. He was the con man. He was very, I don't know about abusive, probably was.
Definitely those times, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, no, he wasn't a good guy. I don't know too much on historical facts, but all I know is that this film adaptation of him is Hugh Jackman makes him a very nice man.
And it feels very romanticized. Extremely romanticized.
Yes.
Because, yeah, this dude is almost flawless at times.
I'm doing this for the family. The choreography. It is beautiful. Just the rooftop dancing. That was wonderful. The music has a variety. It's catchy. It's fun. The dancing is intricate. It's complicated and passionate. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be a little reiteration of the same thing they just did 5 minutes ago.
I had a curious relationship with The Greatest Showman in that it was fine. Like, it's to me, a very good enough movie. I watched it and it's very eye-catching and they keep the emphasis on things that they wanted to keep the emphasis on. Like, the story's told well enough, a lot of emphasis on Hugh Jackman and his performance. And there is plenty of, choreography and it's really fun. I always feel like it could be better. Like,
probably. There's
a lot of, like, relationships and stuff in the film that I feel are not fleshed out. Like, basically almost everyone he takes on in his sort of, like, show, except for maybe the bearded lady, they show up and then they do a dance number and you don't really know anything about them. And you don't really know anything about their relationship with Barnum. And so, like, when he kind of shuns them away, we're supposed to feel something. And I'm just like, well, I don't...
Fair enough.
I don't feel it, personally. I except for, the bearded lady, because she gets to sing a lot. So there's so much emphasis on the presentation. So it, it kind of like, it gets you kind of in the mood, and you're like, wow, this is great music, and like, oh, it's so shiny. But the compromise was kind of like this really like core relationship and emotional quality that is, you know, it's kind of sidelined. And in that sense, it kind of reminds me of Moulin Rouge.
Oh my God, you're going there.
Except, I'll say The Greatest Showman is way more coherent. Like, Moulin Rouge is stylistic to the point where you're like, what? Like, when is this movie gonna start?
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
Moulin Rouge never feels like it starts. It always has this really weird vibe to it that, for me, it never felt like it settled in and I could just sit down and enjoy the narrative and be really absorbed in it, because I was always like being thrown the stylistic stuff. And it was kind of fun and it was very unique in that way. It was what Baz Luhrmann was going for and he went for it and he hit it. But I couldn't like sit down and like acclimatize to the movie. This movie is a little bit like that too, but not nearly to that extent.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
All right, well, maybe some other people will.
You're probably right, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's no right or wrong necessarily. It's all opinion and how movies affect you personally, right? This is just sort of what were the points of reference that I'm getting. So yeah, I liked The Greatest Showman, but there was always a part of me that was like, should I like this more? I feel like I should like this more, because there were a lot of things going for it. And part of that is like Hugh Jackman selling it. And part of that is like the presentation and the quality of performance and visuals. You go to the movies because you want some level of like fancy presentation, I think. But there's some deeper level stuff that I feel was not explored nearly as well as it could have been. And this is actually a problem I find with musicals in general, because I'm not a big musical guy. I know that we're probably going to not see eye to eye on this one. I'm sorry. This is a very broad generalization, because, you know, some movies work better than others. Mm-hmm. But I always feel like because they have to fit in songs,
yes,
there's always going to be a compromise for like pacing and storytelling, because they have to fit in the songs. Mm-hmm. Some people feel like that's a compromise they're willing to make, and other people are not going to make that compromise. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Sometimes it works better than others. Mm-hmm. That's my feelings. Anything else you want to add about Greatest Showman?
Do you have a favorite song?
I don't know what the songs are called. You've been listening to the soundtrack.
That's very true.
I listened to it once and I was in the movie. You know, probably, I think the one that they begin and end on is the one that I kind of remember the best. Yeah, that one.
The Greatest Show.
The Greatest Show?
This is the Greatest Show.
That's kind of the one that sticks in my head the most.
A Million Dreams might be my favorite currently, but it cycles through.
Okay. If somebody was like, I think I want to see The Greatest Showman, I wouldn't discourage them. Yeah, and like I said, you know, it's good enough. You know, it's a good time at the movies.
It's fun.
It is fun. And, you know, I'll say it does deal with some, like, sociological issues of the time. You know, the taboos of, like, interracial dating and you know, how people with deformities and stuff were, or even, not even deformities, but just, like, things like they were really tall. Like, how they were perceived in the culture. It does try, and I think in a lot of ways it succeeds, but some ways it falls a little short. So, you know, that's okay. What did you think of The Greatest Showman? Do you think that I'm off my rocker and really missing a lot of the points? Do you think that I shouldn't have worn my glasses because I look like a film snob? Do you think that Allie's got a super cute smile? Let us know in the comments below.
I was gonna say, if I'm just too easily entertained.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and all of that fun stuff. Peace out.